You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Maggie Haberman exposes trick Trump uses to dodge tough questions, based on an article by Matthew Russer. Trump didn't break the press pool. He weaponized it. The setup. Maggie Haberman described a press environment in which tough questions get drowned out by sycophants, with far-right influencers following serious inquiries by flattering Trump instead of challenging him. She also said this is not an accident but very much by this White House's design. That is the key fact. The story is not that journalism has become weaker in some abstract sense. It is that power deliberately rebuilt the room so scrutiny would be outnumbered, interrupted, and humiliated. Who holds the power? The answer is not the reporter asking the hard question. It is not the White House correspondents trying to do their job. The institutional power sits with Trump and the White House that controls access, seating, credentials, and the choreography of the spectacle. If the press pool is filled with people who ask, "Sir, how are you so handsome?" after a real question, that is not a communications failure. It is governance by degradation. Trump understands a basic authoritarian trick. You do not need to abolish the press if you can flood it with loyalists. You do not need to ban the question if you can bury it under praise. The point is not information. The point is submission. The misdirection. Haberman's account cuts through the comfortable lie that this is just noise, personality, with a messy modern media environment. It is not. The source text makes clear that the White House selected for deference and created a massive challenge for reporters willing to ask something real. That means blame belongs where agency lies, with the people designing the system, not the people trapped in it. The press often describes these moments as if they are unfortunate circumstances. That framing is too soft. It excuses deliberate engineering. When the next question is a compliment, the effect is not neutrality. It is propaganda with a microphone. The decision structure. Haberman also points to the smaller circle around Trump as a governing mechanism, a very tiny group of people making decisions, where proximity matters more than formal authority. That is the deeper political story here. Cabinet titles, agency roles, and institutional charts matter less than access to Trump's immediate orbit. Marco Rubio's reported need to stay close to Trump is not a sign of healthy governance. It is evidence of a system where policy flows through personal favor and constant performance. That is how reckless rule survives, by making everyone compete for presence instead of principle. If you are not physically near the man, you may as well be irrelevant. If you are near him, you can be manipulated by praise. This is not expertise-led government. It is caught politics with state power attached. What this reveals, the real pattern, is not just media rot. It is the merger of authoritarian politics with celebrity culture and institutional cowardice. Trump does not merely enjoy flattering coverage. He uses it to convert journalism into atmosphere management. The White House then turns access into a loyalty test and calls the result a press briefing. Democrats and democratic institutions should read this plainly. The problem is not that Trump is tough on the media. The problem is that he is building a political order where truth is crowded out by proximity. And proximity is reserved for servants. That is what the country is watching, not a president answering questions, but a regime training the room to stop asking them. Systemic error. This is what democratic decay looks like in practice. Not always tanks in the street. Sometimes it is a press gaggle where the serious question is answered by a gush of flattery, and everyone is supposed to pretend that counts as scrutiny. The mechanism is crude because it works. Reward obedience, isolate critics, and let the spectacle do the rest. The larger pattern is clear. Trump governs through managed humiliation, and the institutions around him keep adapting to it. That adaptation is the failure. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternate for today's article, with the automated voice of John. Thanks for listening.